and everything was fine. I was healthy. I had a blood test, a mammogram, a physical. Everything was great. I went back to my doctor, and I told him I thought something was wrong, that I could feel something in my breast. And I took his hand and I put it in the same place that the monk had put my hand. And he looked at me and he said, "Now, Kat, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have anything there. I can't feel anything. Let's do another blood test and a mammogram." So I did. Long story short, I did those blood tests and those mammograms 3 different times with the same doctor, and the results were the same, that I did not have cancer. Then, in one of the dreams in which the monk walked into my dream again, as soon as I saw the monk, I started crying. He didn't even take me through the dream door yet. I just started bawling like a baby, and I said, "I know why you're here, and I don't know what to do. My doctors are not listening to me. And if I really do have breast cancer like you said I do, then you need to do something to help me, or else I'm just going to die, because they're not doing anything. They're doing the same mammograms, blood tests, physicals, and they're telling me I'm healthy and to go home." So the monk took this little tiny feather out of his sleeve. It was like the feather you would see early in the morning that maybe fell out of your pillow or came out of your down comforter, just lying on the floor. And he handed it to me. And he said, "If you take this feather and you go back to your doctor tomorrow without an appointment, and you use this feather as though it were a sword, you're going to get the tests you need, which is exploratory surgery." And he said, "Just pretend like you are an attorney in front of a judge doesn't even like you, okay? Just state your case. You need to help me." And then the monk turned around and he walked out of my dream. So the next morning I told my husband about the dream. I told him about my other dreams because I lived like an hour and a half away from the hospital. So he would drive in there with me and we would, spend the afternoon having lunch or whatever. So I drove back into Boston actually, and I walked into my doctor's office. And he looked at me like, "Oh my gosh, you're back." And I said, "I really need to talk to you." And when I went into his office with him, I said, "Look, I know something's wrong. I know your tests are saying I'm healthy, but I know something's wrong." And he looked at me and he said, "So what do you want me to do?" And I said, "I want you to give me exploratory surgery." And he looked at me like I had just set myself on fire in his office. He turned white. His eyes were bugging out. He goes, "Kat, I can't do that. It's against my policy. It's against hospital policy. I just can't cut you open and look around inside your breast. I have to have a reason." And he said, "Cancer doesn't run in your family. You're too young to have breast cancer. There's nothing wrong with you. Go home." So I imagined that feather between my fingers, and I imagined pointing it right at him. And I said, "You have to help me. I don't know where else to go. I don't know what else to do. I know something's wrong." And for those of you listening, it's like, those vampire movies where the vampire walks into a room and sees someone who's going to arrest them or shoot them with a gun, and they kind of wave their hand and they say, "Yeah, you don't want to shoot me. You want to turn around and walk out of the room." And the person goes, "Yeah, you're right. I don't want to shoot you. I want to turn around and walk out of the room." Well, that's kind of what my doctor did. He said, "I'll be right back." He walked out of the room, and he came back, and he said, "I have an appointment to do the exploratory surgery 3 days after New Year's." Long story short, I ended up being in stage 2 breast cancer with it in my lymph nodes. Now, all of a sudden, so many things fell into place from the dream world I'd been having. My mom reaching down in that dream and saying, you are going to be just fine. Taking my hands and saying, you are going to be just fine. Before I had any idea that I had cancer. Not a notion. Never a clue. It would not have occurred to me in a million years. And then all of a sudden the monks coming into the dreams desperately, saying you have to go back to your doctors. You have to go back to your doctors. Get a different set of tests. So what I learned from that experience is that our dreams can save our lives. Our dreams are so important. And this dream is actually in my book that I wrote with Dr. Larry Burke of Duke University Medical. And the whole title of the book is Dreams That Can Save Your Lives, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases, because my dreams were precognitive in that I knew about them before, I was told about this before they happened. But they were also diagnostic in that they were diagnosing a problem. But even more than that, they saved my life. And they were an early warning sign of a disease. In my case, it was breast cancer. So our dreams are so important. And sometimes we have to learn our dream languages, and sometimes we have people come to us from beyond, like Chris's mother did when she came into his dreams and said, look, I'm not gone. I'm still right beside you. I'm with you all the time, and we'll be together until I see you again. When our loved ones die, they're not gone. There is life after life, is the way I like to put it. There is another realm, and our sacred dream doors are the way we can access that area. We can go from the realm of the living through the sacred dream doors into what I call the room between realms. And that room is where our spirit guides, guardian angels, whatever you want to call them, or both, can give us information, and where our deceased loved ones can come in from the other side and also give us information. It's a very special room between the realms of the living and the dead. And it just goes to show that there is something after death. There is more life after life. Death is not an end. We call it an end. We think it's an end, but it's not. Don't go away, because we're going to come right back. You are listening to Dreaming Healing on DreamVision7radio.com, and I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Cannabis, a.k.a. Kat.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Cannabis, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylène Riobe, MD. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time with live shows on the first and third mornings, when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylène the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylène is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. For 40 years, Omega has been a gathering place for great thinkers, creative talent, spiritual teachers, and social visionaries. With 390 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Dreaming Healing on DreamVision7.com. I'm your host, Kat Canavas, and we're discussing dreaming and healing. If you would like to call in with a dream during this show, you can call live at 833-220-1200. That's 833-220-1200. And I'd love to hear your dreams. We'll interpret them together. We'll figure out what your dream message is and your dream language. So, I grew up in Europe. Yep, I'm an Army brat. My dad was a Green Beret, and so I was born in Germany and spent all of my life in Europe until I came back to the United States to go to college. That was actually the first time I lived in the United States. So I was actually a stranger in my own land. We're a little different from most people. They would usually come back at some point, but because my dad was a Green Beret, he would actually be stationed right outside of hot areas. I was actually in Berlin, Germany in first grade when the wall went up. My dad got a red alert call early in the morning, and he disappeared for weeks. And he was on the East German side because the wall went up overnight. And yes, it really did. They just, they were very efficient at putting great big cement blocks up so that the students who were West Berlin students going to the University of East Berlin could not get back. And so my father was actually digging trenches and digging ways for them to get back to the west side of Berlin because the students' parents were marching on the wall, and the East Berlin police and the Russians would have mowed them down with machine guns in a heartbeat. So, yeah, I've been on the brink. I've lived in areas that have been on the brink of war for many years when I was growing up, and that's one of the reasons why my mother and I were so very close. I went to 5 different first grades. I mean, and I have the report cards to prove it. And you know what was really interesting about those report cards? In the back in the comments, all of my teachers wrote the same comment throughout my elementary school years. They said, Kathy's a great student. She's very smart, but she could do so much better if she would just stop daydreaming. I thought that was pretty amazing because it's actually my daydreaming and my night dreaming that got me an Amazon #1 bestseller in the book Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases. And I'm a big advocate of dreaming. And do you know that in some of the biggest companies in our country, some of the really big ones, you know, I don't want to name them on air, but if you think about it, and when they deal with computers and algorithms, they require their employees to have 10 minutes of daydreaming twice a day because that's when they get their best ideas. And a daydream is when you're not sleeping, okay? You're just kind of not paying close attention to what you're doing. You could just kind of sit back, stare at a crack in the wall, stare at the ceiling, just let your mind wander. And it is amazing the places it will take you.